夠人又夠鐘。
It's time and we have a quorum. Let's invite the administration in.
跟進香港國際機場三跑道系統相關
Subcommittee to follow up issues relating to the three-runway system at the Hong Kong International Airport. Let's get started with the meeting. First of all, confirmation of minutes of meeting from the 14th of April. The minutes have been circulated with members, and we're looking at C records for 1158/1617. The Secretariat has not received any amendment suggestions as of yet. So shall we confirm the minutes? All right, thank you. Item number 2, Hong Kong International Airport's enhancement plan. The Deputy Chairman, Mr. Dennis Kwok, wrote to me on the 4th of June, and that is paper CB brackets 41170/1617 brackets 01. And in the letter, he requested further information from the airport authority on the financial arrangements of the three-runway system so that the subcommittee can follow up on the issue. I communicated with the administration on this issue, and I understood that the financial arrangements have not been completed. So can the Undersecretary walk us through the timeline, please? I'd like to invite the airport authority to brief us on the progress. Who can take this part? Thank you. On this financial report, in the last meeting, we have explained it to members. Work is underway, and by around summer it should be completed. As we said last time, after the report is completed, we will still need to discuss it with our board, and by the 4th quarter we can brief members on this. Mr. Fung, when will you hold your board meeting? We hope that we can meet in September, but we have to consider whether the discussion can be completed within a single meeting. It should take place at the end of September. If the AA's board meeting will take place in September, I think some time is needed for them to compile the report or work. So we should meet in October to take in the report on the financial arrangements. Tanya? Thank you. Chairman, as you know, the interest rates are going up, and Hong Kong's ratings have been going down. For the loan arrangements and so on, these might be reflected in the ratings. So thank you for making such arrangements. So that would be the plan, barring any objections. The Hong Kong Airport Authority will brief us on the Hong Kong International Airport's enhancement plan by using slides. Undersecretary or Airport Authority, will you brief us on this item before we open up the floor for questions? Thank you. I'd like to invite the Airport Authority to walk us through their improvement measures given the existing capacity. Thank you very much. On the paper number CB brackets 41185, I'd like to brief members on our enhancement plan for the airport. Apart from rising passenger throughput, we also want to work in tandem with the three-runway system, and there are three parts. First of all, expansion of the infrastructure facilities, and 2, enhancing the processes, and 3, the application of technology to streamline our work. First of all, I'd like to talk about the facilities expansion. As you might remember, in around March, we fully commissioned our midfield concourse to provide nearly 20 new parking stands and increasing the capacity by 10 million passenger trips. And this is the outstanding portion which has not been developed, and starting from this year till 2020, we will fully develop this area, and we will have an extra 33 parking stands, and this would improve our operational efficiency. Apart from the airside, at Terminal 1, we have a few expansion projects, including the annex building of T1, the expanded car park 4, and the East Hall will also be expanded. And between T1 and the North Hall, there would be a new elevated passenger corridor. Next to T1, we will build a new annex building, and with an area of 17,000 square meters, and the existing canopy would be expanded. And the objective is to expand the drop-off area, and there are several different floors to the annex. On the departures floor, on the 7th floor, there will be 40 new check-in counters. So by the time T2 is closed, it can accommodate the demand. Together with the application of new technologies, together with the existing check-in counters, the handling capacity will increase from 70 million passengers to 85 to 90 passengers. Beneath the departures floor, the 2 floors would be used for handling baggages. There will be new baggage belts from 12. We will increase the number of belts from 12 to 14, and there will be new baggage storage areas. And at the East Hall of T1, we have 2 new projects. In the east and north, there will be expansions. The food court will also be expanded. After going through the customs, the food court at the airside is rather congested, and the number of seats will increase from 900 to 1,200, and towards the north, we will also accommodate more floor space. The purpose is to provide an area for passengers with special needs, for example, wheelchair users, elderly people, or pregnant ladies. We have a new zone to accommodate these special passengers. We will also have a new rooftop garden to offer a new experience for our passengers, and there are outdoor facilities as well. At the south of our East Hall, there would be another expansion, and this area will accommodate children, and we will accommodate a children's play area which spans 2 floors. On the upper floor, there will be new catering facilities as well, and the facilities overall can cater for passengers of all ages. Apart from T1, we will have new facilities at our car park 4. We will have a new integrated complex with an area of 6.7 thousand square meters. We want to provide more auxiliary facilities for our staff, and different facilities will be provided at this building. On the ground floor, there will be a nursery, and there will be a permanent nursery with an airport preschool. And from the first to 8th floors, the existing car parks would be closed in phases. That's why we will provide 1,400 parking lots at these floors to make up for the loss of the temporary closures of the T2 car parks. And we also have the Hong Kong International Aviation Academy, which was opened earlier. In the past, we used temporary offices as teaching venues, and in the future, the 9th floor will be the permanent venue of our academy. On the 10th floor, there will be a staff food court as well as community facilities, including sports facilities.
So that it will be more convenient for our staff to have meals, and there will also be a gym. Level 11 will be the restaurant and the roof garden. Altogether, there will be 12 levels. We expect that they will be completed by 2019-2020. Finally, the last infrastructure project will be the bridge linking up T1 and the North Satellite Concourse. The North Satellite Concourse at the moment serve smaller airplanes, and going to the North Satellite Concourse, the passengers will need to ride on shuttle buses. With the bridge completed linking up T1 and the North Satellite Concourse, it will be very comfortable for passengers traveling from T1 to the North Satellite Concourse by a travelator. The bridge will be air conditioned, and also it will be able to cut down on the number of these shuttle buses, and thus reducing our carbon emission and helping to improve the environment. Other than infrastructures, for the normal procedure, we hope there will be streamlining and improvements so the passengers will find it even more convenient to use our facilities. First of all, we have the airport collaborative decision making. We want to make use of a computer platform so that together with all our working partners, including the CAD, the ATC, the observatory, the airlines, and the we will be able to exchange information through this platform. With the exchange of information, we will be able to improve the accuracy of the takeoff time. And for phase 1, the system will be designed by the CAD. In 2015, we took over the system. At the moment, we are now entering into phase 2 of the CDM. We want to make use of the latest technology, computer technology, to enhance the exchange of information. The trend nowadays is towards automation and personalized service. In the past, we have encouraged passengers to make use of online check-ins. But there are other things that we cannot do yet. For example, the validation of documents and visas, and the barcode for the baggages. At the airport, we will be installing iCus so that the passengers can make use of these terminals to make online check-ins. At the same time, the terminal can validate the travel documents and even print the barcode for the baggages. So the passenger can actually tag their own check-in baggage, and this can help the demand, our demand for these terminals. Other than iCus, we also have a mobile check-in desk, as you can see here on this PowerPoint. Although we have sufficient counters, but sometimes certain counters are more crowded than others. With the mobile check-in desk, we will be able to cater to certain hours of the day when the airport is particularly crowded, and the mobile check-in desk will be able to help. We also hope that in future outside of the airport, including the hotel, the Disney theme park, the cruise terminal, and so on. We hope to be able to enable passengers to make their own check-ins online outside of the airport. Next, baggages. If we have a good system, then the passengers can tag in their own baggages. And at the airport, we're going to install 120 automatic baggage systems. After improving the procedure, we want to make use of more applied technologies. We've set up, a technology innovation committee. We've also set up a fund amounting to $20 million to support local SME companies. Hopefully, they will be able to develop new technologies that could be used by the AA platform. This is conducive to helping development of local technology and also leveraging on these technologies to improve our efficiency. We've done a lot of work, and the paper, we've only cited one or two examples of how we will introduce new technologies. At retail, for retail and so on, we'll also be introducing new technologies. A new technology that we will be deploying would be the automatic foreign object debris detection system. We've installed 20 real-time, round-the-clock, cameras to monitor our runways. In the past, sometimes there may be foreign objects falling on our runways, including carcasses of dead birds or rubbish, which may get in the way of the taxiway and the runways. In the past, we would need to deploy vehicles to inspect patrol the runways. In future, with the help of this system, we can monitor the runways around the clock. If foreign objects are detected, we can immediately deploy our staff to clear the runway. For this system, they will be fully deployed in the third quarter of 2017. Next, we will also be using the GPS system. On the airport island, we have service. There are more than 30 service vehicles, most of them owned by our contractors. So to more effectively make use of these vehicles, we have already installed the GPS system for these 3,000 odd vehicles, so that in our central system we will be able to identify these 3,000 vehicles and verify the locations. So this can help us. We help our business partners to make more efficient use of the resources. The way forward, we will be leveraging on more technologies to improve the operation of our airport. The trend now is towards more automation. Chairman, I think that's the end of my presentation. I'll be happy to take questions. All right, shall we say each member be given 5 minutes? We have Mr. Michael Teen, Dr. Kay Kwok, Mr. Yu Siwing, and Tanya Chan. Mr. Michael Teen. Thank you. Under Secretary, well, we don't have enough, baggage facilities. The apps of the flights are not sufficient. I can bear with that, but for the passengers to a pleasant trip, it is important that we can ensure the safety of the flights. Well, I think you probably can guess what I'm going to asking. It's for the air, traffic control system. You say there will be a breaking-in period, but I think the airport report was released. We're told that the new system is operating very well. 5 days later, on the 8th of April, it will be, become apparently right. The old system is not yet decommissioned. Earlier on, the different political parties have endorsed my motion that is the ATC system should be continue to be used until the end of this year. If by the end of this year we still have incidents, then you definitely will need to have a new system. Otherwise, when the third runway is completed, and if you have such a system, because it will take so many years before you can replace the system. And I'm sorry, I hope you remember the warning that I'm making today. But today I have another question to ask. On the 24th of last year, there was an airplane which actually ran off the runway and landed on the turf. The report was that the plane skidded on the runway, and half an hour before the Eastern Airline incident happened, there was another plane which also had some problem with the brakes. So I understand that when the plane, lands, the friction between the ground and the tire would result in residues of plastics or rubber on the runway. If you have more accumulation of these materials, it will reduce the friction on the runway, resulting in the airplane skidding. So the AA deploy people to clean up these rubber debris on the air runway 4 times a week. But we've been told that now that we have more flights, there's more and more wear and tear of the runways. As a result, the maintenance hours during the early hours of the morning have been cut by 45 minutes, and they are worried that the situation will deteriorate further in the future. So I'd like to know what is the result of your investigation into this incident, and do you have a report for us for the airplane skidding and the anti-skidding materials of the runway is not up to standard? Could you? And also does it have to do with the fact that you don't have enough time to do your maintenance work? Because going forward, you'll have less and less time for maintenance. So how many such incidents of airplanes skidding on the runway would happen? If you cannot resolve these problems with only 2 runways, are we able to cope when we're going to have 3 runways? I'm going to make up for the lost time for you, Michael. I think this incident should be discussed at the panel rather than at this committee. But still, I will allow the Bureau or the AA to briefly answer the question. Thank you, Chairman. I think they mentioned that there will be these foreign object detection, devices. I understand that for matters relating to the routine management and maintenance, we can discuss that at the panel meeting. But anyway, I will still try to answer the question. Regarding the ATC system, I think you have noticed that the statement that in the last part of our statement, we said that whether it's our expert committee or the International Civil Aviation Organization all agree with what the measures that we've implemented, and they are very highly appreciative of these measures. You're talking about the ATC system. Now, I was just to remind you that a motion, has been passed with the support of different political parties. Well, the thrust of the question was about what happened on the 24th when an incident happened involving a plane from the Eastern Airline. The CAD is now conducting an investigation, and so far we don't have anything yet, any findings to report to members. But regarding the maintenance of the runway, I'll ask whether the AA would like to supplement. I'm concerned about the foreign objects or foreign object debris on the runway. Regarding the shortening of the maintenance hours in the evening, every time we make a decision, we would always consider the time required for maintenance work in the evening. So certainly we are not cutting down on the time for maintenance. It's down by 45 minutes. No, we cut it down by 15 minutes last year. It's still between 1:30 to 7:45 in the early morning that we will carry out the maintenance work. If we discover that we need to immediately clean up the runway, we will do that. And as Mr. Teen said, first of all, the most important part of the runway, we now have a program. so that once every 3 months we will thoroughly clean the runway. And another equipment that we have on the runway would for every 10 days we would check both runways to ensure that the friction or anti-skidding ability is up to standard. And we would entrust it to the CAD to carry out the monitoring work. The CAD is now conducting a study. Once they have a report, then we would give a full account for members. Dr. K.K. Kwok. Thank you. Of course, I hope that these enhancement work can be done earlier. The ranking of our airport is dropping steadily. We used to be number 1, now we're number 5th. Other than the Skytrax, we have not received any competitions for catering, staff services, shopping, security checks. For both hardwares and softwares, I think you're putting us to shame. We've spent so much money. We're also charging people for the new runway. We also have other blunders or disasters. You'll be scrapping more than 1,000 parking spaces. And also recently the AA has increased the parking charges significantly. So you're penalizing the people of Hong Kong.
It has cost more than $100 billion, and this is infuriating for the public. The Sky Bridge is especially frustrating. This is ridiculous. You are introducing this corridor, but it's very remote for passengers, so you're not being considerate. And a system should have been in place to connect these areas, but now passengers are forced to use the Sky Bridge. In terms of technology, it's another cause for regret. If you visit Changi or other airports in Taiwan, their technologies are very advanced. We are just beginning to catch up. So can we do something so that we won't lag behind that much? I don't know how much you have spent, and by how much can you improve the airport services? Airport Authority. First of all, about the car park. We did not remove 1,000 parking lots. We only removed about 500 parking lots to cater for the works. In the future, due to rerouting, etc., because of 3RS, we might remove more parking lots. That's why we want to make up for this loss via at the new annex building of T1. In terms of our parking policy, we hope that passengers would take public transport as much as possible. This is better for the environment, among other things. Well, people have a choice. Some people have to drive because they have genuine needs. The price rise is only about 10% on the hourly rate. We charge $22 to $24 per hour after the hike. Compared with major shopping malls, we are quite affordable. I'm talking about the parking, the monthly or long-term parking fees. What about the daily fees? By how much have they gone up? We want to provide adequate parking lots, but there is a limit, and we want to encourage passengers to use public transport. This is better for Hong Kong and better for our roads as well. You talked about our proposed passenger corridor. The entire design is barrier-free. We want to facilitate children, elderly people, and wheelchair users. We hope that passengers can reach their destinations through our travelators. So how long exactly would that take? The time required will come down from 20 minutes to 10. So are you asking the passengers to walk for a whole 10 minutes? And you are saying that Hong Kong will still be one of the top airports. I think you're dreaming. I think a 10-minute walk under air conditioning is certainly acceptable. It's certainly more convenient and efficient than using the existing shuttle buses. In terms of technology, as I said already, we highlighted two main examples, but we do have a lot of other technologies to provide more information to our passengers through our My Flight app or retail information and discounts, etc. So we have a lot more technologies than what I have said. And these would all enhance passenger experience. We spend so much money. What are your expectations towards our airport in terms of ranking? Will we climb back to the top? We do have goals, but the ratings really depend on the external agencies. Our goal is for our rankings to rise, but there's no guarantee on the specific increments. What about the 5 things I mentioned? Which of them would you improve? Cleaning, staff, shopping, safety, etc. In terms of catering, we have a food court and 2 new facilities at the East Hall, including an area for children and a corner for passengers with special needs. These would help improve our service. Next, Mr. Michael Loh. Thank you. I have 2 questions. We welcome the expansion arrangements by the Airport Authority, including the additional parking stands at the midfield concourse. But would passengers have to take the shuttle bus? The use of the decks have gone down, and will you further avoid inconvenience to passengers even if you do not use the connection bridges? Well, they are certainly better than having to use shuttle buses, and that would affect customer satisfaction. And about our ATC or air traffic control system, is there any mechanism to avoid access by hackers or foreign hackers? If they hack into the ATC system, they might steal information or real-time data. Who can take these questions? Chairman, for the first question, I will invite the AA to give an answer. For the second area or second question, as I understand, the Civil Aviation Department places high emphasis on the security of our systems, and designs are in place to avoid hackers. I cannot give details at this session, but at the for the next part of the agenda, the CAD might be able to elaborate more. Chairman, perhaps the Undersecretary is baffled by this question, and I actually asked this question because of tensions in the political scenes in the South China Sea, and the PLA and certain stealth aircraft by the U.S. Encountered tension. And as you know, Raytheon is one of the biggest suppliers of national security equipment in the U.S. Would there be backdoor software installed to transmit real-time information from our ATC system, and they might be able to monitor the PLA's activities, which would jeopardize Hong Kong's national security? So this is very important. Mr. Lok, I'm very interested in this issue as well. Raytheon is specialized in radar systems, missiles, as well as for the U.S. National Security Ministry, and they are highly specialized. So this is something you should study. Well, the CAD would be here with us for the next item. For the next item, the CAD would be here. What you ask is a highly specialized issue, so perhaps the CAD can take your question at that time. So your first question can be addressed by the AA. For the connection bridges at the midfield concourse, we will build 34 new parking. So we are not asking our passengers to take shuttle buses. That's not our objective. We are introducing more parking stands because for planes that have to wait a long time before the next flights, we want them to be relocated to remote stands so that more passengers can make use of the connection bridges. And the figure Mr. Loh quoted was around 80% in March, but after we increase the number of parking stands accessible by bridges to 19, the figure has increased. If we can further enhance the operational efficiency of our bridges, the figure might further rise to 93 or 95%. So in other words, we want to allow more passengers to be able to use the bridge. Mr. Yu Si-weng, thank you. Our airport has been in place for 19 years. So it's an achievement already to rank top 5 in the world. We used to be top in 2011. Now we are 5th, so certainly there's room for improvement. This expansion is certainly necessary, including the 3-runway system. If we do not change, we will be overtaken by other airports. This is something the public does not want to see. So my first question is, you talked about a number of facilities compared with other top airports. After the facilities are completed, is there any chance we can become the best airport again? I trust that you have looked into that, so are you confident? In terms of car park number 4, you said that the number of parking lots have gone down by 500. After redevelopment of car park 4, how many parking lots will be reintroduced? And after the entire project is completed, how many parking lots in total will be provided at the airport? Would it be more or less than the 1,570? In terms of baggage handling, as you know, the flow of baggage is not ideal and there are frequent delays. By 2019, the new high-speed baggage handling system will be commissioned. And by how much would the efficiency of baggage handling be improved? Thank you. As I said, in terms of application of technology, streamlining processes, on a whole, we hope that services can be enhanced. But in terms of such improvements being reflected in international rankings, this is something we cannot guarantee. But our goal is to improve our rankings as soon as possible. In terms of the car park floor in the entire airport, we have about 4,800 parking lots in total. We have been developing hotels in recent months, as well as advanced works for the third runway system. We closed 300 parking lots temporarily, and we will remove another 1,000 shortly. For the car park number 4 extension building, 1,400 parking lots can be provided. So overall speaking, we can make up for the loss of parking lots. So we will maintain a comparable number of parking lots. But as we said, we want to encourage the public to use public transport as soon as possible and drive less, because the number of parking lots is always limited.
Finally, regarding the baggage system, after we've commissioned the midfield apron, we're going to install a high-speed baggage transport system so that baggages of arriving passengers can be sent to the baggage system as soon as possible. At the moment, our pledge to the public is that 20 minutes after landing, the first piece of luggage will appear, the last piece 40 minutes. Our passenger handling capacity will gradually increase. Although we are committing more resources to process more baggages, but our target is to maintain the present level so that the increasing number of passengers will not add to the load, so that going forward we will still be able to maintain the pledge to the first piece of baggage will arrive in 20 minutes, the last piece in 40 minutes. I'd like to follow up on the first question, Chairman. Although we may not necessarily have to be the best airport in the world, but do you have experts looking into the or making comparison between our airport and other airports? And if so, now given that our airport is already so crowded and with so many good suggestions, is there any room for you to further improve the airport facilities? Indeed, we do. Among our colleagues, we have specialists who will monitor, for example, the rating for our Skytrax. There are many items for the rating. We will watch our rating for each and every item, and also the rating for our competitors as well, and find out which are the areas where we are doing well, where we're not. So we will be very focused. We'll focus on those areas where we're not doing so well, and we'll commit more resources as well as technology to help improve the services in those areas. I hope, today we've only given you a very brief description of what we will do in terms of hardware and software going forward. But other than that, there's still a lot more work yet to be done. And after that, all that's been done, there will be an overall, improvement. Tanya Chan. I know that there will be many new facilities and enhancement projects. Will these new enhanced facilities be able to be used after the third runway is commissioned? Simple answer is yes. Now, before we have the third runway, for all these enhanced facilities, I understand that regarding the passenger handling capacity, it will be greatly enhanced. But are you also able to handle more flights? You have more passengers, but if the flights cannot take off on time, it's not good. I always go to the airport by the AEL because I don't own a private car. But on normal weekday afternoons, even the AEL is crowded and people have to stand. On one particular day, it was just a Friday afternoon. I had a meeting in the morning. I need to take a plane in the afternoon, and I had to stand on the AEL. I agree that we should encourage people to take public transport to the airport, But sometimes it's not as easy as you said to take the AEL, because sometimes there will be no seats, when you bought the AEL. Now, with all these proposed enhancements, for example, the midfield apron, after it's completed, you expect that by how much will you increase the number of flights handled by the two runways? Let me try to give a simple answer to those questions. Regarding the provision of more facilities, it will not automatically enable us to handle more flights, because that would depend on the takeoff and landing capacities of the two runways. Even if we do not have extra flights, when the airport has become very crowded, many airlines will switch over to bigger planes. So you will still be able to satisfy the demand of customers. So there's no necessary connection. So I hope members understand that. And that's why we're saying that even with the additional facilities, there may not necessarily be an increase in the number of flights. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'm just worried that you have more passengers at the airport, like the MTRC. We have more and more kiosks in the MTR stations, and the passageways are getting more and more crowded. So just like what happened when we're going to have an oncoming typhoon, and you can imagine how crowded the Admiralty station is. So I'm just worried that you may not be able to handle all your passengers when the airport gets crowded. And regarding the corridor, now regarding the North Satellite Concourse, they were commissioned in 2006. People flying to Taiwan, they will need to use that apron. Well, that has been used for a long time. Why is it that only now you decide to build this passenger corridor? And there is a baggage, a conveyor belt on that corridor. Yes, Ms. Chen is right. The North Satellite Concourse was commissioned. It was built in 2006, completed in 2009. It serves mainly the narrow-body planes. Just so happened that it's only a coincidence. For most of the regional flights, they will use narrow-body flights. So if you go on a short trip, it's very likely that you may need to take off from the North Satellite Concourse. For the shuttle buses, we want the passenger experience to be similar to those who are using the automatic people movers. So we have a lobby for them to rest, and they will be covered when they board and alight from the shuttle buses. There will also be catering and shopping, facilities there at the concourse. Although we hope that our service standard will be the same as the APM, but still there's a question of the impression by passengers. Many of them told us that if we could use a travelator to send them to this concourse, it would be a lot more convenient. And that's why we decided to make the investment to build the passenger corridor. The traveling time will be cut by half, and I'm sure many passengers will benefit from that. With all these enhancement work, do you have any cost estimates for them? Of course, internally, we have our own estimates. Now, altogether, how much would all these enhancement facilities cost? For all the facilities I mentioned just now, it is a rough estimate. We're talking roughly about $7 billion. Thank you. Mr. Cheng Chung Tai. Now, thank you. Regarding the expansion of car park number 4, do you have a completion date for that? And for the AA, when that is completed, how can it make up for the shortfall of the car parks? And also regarding the expansion of the Eastern Concourse, I understand there will be a rooftop garden. I don't know how you call it in Chinese. It is for for people with special needs. Now, is that a garden or what? It's a caring corner. Would there be any special service for passengers there? And thirdly, regarding the enhancement of the airport, I noticed recently that you bought a robot. In February or March, it's called Pepper, right? The robot ambassador. Will that robot have to be retired because it doesn't know how to find its way? So that robot, I do remember that the AA produced a documentary saying that the robot can really, show people the way around the airport. So I don't think it's reasonable that this robot will have to be decommissioned only after being used for 2-3 years. Regarding the expansion of car park number 4, we expect that they will be completed in 2019-2020. When I answer Mr. Yu's question, and if you listen carefully, we expect that we're not going to use the facility to provide extra car parks, but instead this facility to make up for the car parks which we have decommissioned before, so the number of car parks will remain more or less the same. The AA has a pledge for the public. We want to be the most active airport in the world. Other than services, we also want to protect the environment. That's why we don't want to encourage too many people to drive to the airport. We want people to take public transport coming to the airport. Regarding the caring corner, the photo I showed you was the rooftop garden. It's not part of the caring corner. To the eastern concourse, there are 2 levels. The upper level would be an outdoor rooftop garden, which will provide a brand new experience for passengers. It will provide outdoor recreational catering services. 1 floor below is the caring corner. Among the airport facilities, we don't have facilities to take care of people with special needs. For example, the elderly, the handicapped, or pregnant women. The concept now is that we are now calling tender to expand our facilities. We will look at the specific details as to what facilities the senior citizens, the wheelchair-bound, or the pregnant ladies need. We will be designing them in detail at a later stage. Mr. Yu Siwing, second round. Thank you. Having heard all the proposed enhancements and expansion of the airport, and also even the passenger corridor will cost $7 billion. No. I was giving you a rough ballpark figure for all the enhancements. Some would involve technology, some would be in respect of infrastructure, some would be expansion, and so on. Altogether, it will cost a total of $7 billion. For the passenger corridor, you're going to provide for more parking spaces, but I'm worried that by providing so many extra facilities, in the end, the customers will have to pay. For example, you've increased the landing fees for airlines. With all these new facilities built, will you also be considering to increase some of the charges for the stakeholders, or would it be that the charges will remain the same, except that you will be enhancing your service and efficiency? Regarding charges for the airline company, we have conducted a detailed study. We already have proposal to revise the charges in stages. The new events this time will not affect the charges that we've already agreed with the airline companies. How about the consumers? I don't think there will be any direct impact. Dr. K.K. Kwok, Chairman, I'll ask a short one. For the car parks at the airport, roughly I think we will be losing about 900 car parks, and we have to wait until 2019 before the shortfall is filled. So between now and 2019 there will be a shortfall of 900 car parks. And secondly, the increase in the charges. Some people are forced to drive to the airport. Not everyone will live in the vicinity of the AEL. Not everyone lives in Qingyi or the Kowloon station. We can't afford to buy properties costing several tens of millions of dollars there. For people living in Twin Moon and elsewhere, they may need to drive to the airport. And if you raise the charges like that, you only talk about phase 1. By the time phase 4 is expanded, will you increase the charges yet again? Yeah, I'm talking about the charges of the car park. I'm not talking about the hourly charge. You're talking about the overnight parking, or people who will park their vehicles there for 3 or 4 days. That, for those, I think the charge is very expensive. It used to be $100 a day. I haven't used that for a long time. Sometimes a whole family, if you do your sums, you will know that the AEL is not cheap at all. If the whole family ride on the AEL, so for people who live in the northwest NT, they would need to park there at the airport because it's more convenient, and they will not be, ripped off by the AEL. So I don't know. Why do you tell me that for the airport now, you're going to provide 1,400 new car parks when it's completed? By how much will the parking charges be increased? You're not talking about the hourly charge, but the overnight parking charge or fees.
In terms of the lots of parking lots, we won't have to wait till 2019 to 20 for the expansion of car park 4. Another car park, the car park 5, is under construction, and it will provide 500 extra lots, and these would be partly completed by the third quarter this year to make up for the loss of parking lots. So the overall speaking will remain largely the same. We will have parking lots at different places and stage of our construction. For the hourly rate, we only raised the rate by 10%. For longer stays of 3 days or above, our rises have been much sharper. We do not want to encourage passengers to have long stay vehicles. This is considered from a management's perspective. I think he's being hypocritical. I think he should not have. If you have parking lots, then people would go there, but and passengers would have to pay if they want to park their cars. You need cars to fill up the 1,000 lot or 1,000 odd lots, and this is becoming a burden for passengers. I just asked you how many more price hikes would you conduct. As we said, the last time we made an increase was many years ago. I only reviewed the fee levels after much deliberation. For the question you answered, it would really depend on the supply and demand of parking lots. I'd like to know about the relevant operational figures at the airport. I'm referring to parking lots in the airport. How much have they charged in parking fees? All right. Well, Mr. Kwok told me that if the parking fee is so high, he would rather take a taxi. How about those who living very far? For them, taking the taxi might be even more convenient. All right, it's my turn. On the check-in counters and baggage drop. There will be common use self-service and self-service backdrop facilities. I'm quite concerned about security. At check-in counters, there are staff, but what about the security arrangements for the CUSS? A lot of members talked about the car park, but I realized that the airport car park is only located on ground floor. This is really a waste of space. Why won't you have a 2 or 3 story car park which can accommodate a lot more cars? The first question on security. Whether for CUSS terminals and service counters and the baggage checked in, all the baggage would undergo security screening. So the security arrangements is the same whether you check in through the terminals or the counters. Of course, your personal belongings must be separately screened. For the car park number 4, it is a multi-story car park with 8 floors. This is something we will explore. In the future design of 3RS, we will make the best use of our car parks. They would be the facilities would be located on the car park. Signal number 8 will be hoisted before 5 p.m. I don't think our meeting will last that long. Tanya, Chairman. Well, in the past, the idea was to allow members to go home 2 hours ahead of the typhoon. So we have less than 2 hours left. So that's all for this item. Next, please. The next item is very important. I'm afraid that we cannot finish it today. All right, let's move on to the next item. So let's speed up the questions and answers. Next. Airspace management in relation to the three-runway system implementation. On the 8th of June 2017, the Deputy Chairman wrote to me, and that is CB brackets for 1202/1617 brackets 01. He requested the administration to provide additional information on this issue. I considered requesting the administration to offer an oral response, since they have no written response yet. Hopefully they can offer details in writing after the meeting. So we would like to welcome the Secretary. Can the administration walk us through the paper, please? Last August, the construction of the 3RS commenced. The 3RS will increase the runway capacity of the HKIA to meet the growth in demand. Hong Kong's air traffic has increased every year, and in 2016, we had a throughput of 412,000 throughputs, and the HKIA is close to saturation, and this is something we have stressed a number of times before. Under the Belt and Road Initiative and the Hong Kong, Macau, Zhuhai Bay Area, the regional traffic will continue to grow, which means that the airports in the PLD must be developed at a rapid pace, and there's a need to expand HKIA. Hong Kong has to grasp its opportunities to reinforce our status as a regional transportation hub. On a regional level, Hong Kong is a leading hub. Last year, more than 70 passengers used the Hong Kong International Airport. And compared with the 5 major mainland airports, the Shanghai Pudong Airport and Hongqiao Airport, the Guangdong Baiyun Airport, Beijing International Airport, and Bao'an Airport in Shenzhen, our number of passengers exceeded the aggregate volumes of these 5 airports. Last March, the State Council issued the guiding opinions of the State Council on deepening the cooperation within the PRD to reinforce Hong Kong's position as an international aviation hub and encourages closer cooperation between the HKIA and airports in the regions of the mainland. Right now, Hong Kong communicates well with neighboring airports in Guangzhou, Zhuhai, and Macau. In terms of the use of airspace and resources, the Civil Aviation Department has been working with the relevant mainland authorities, and in 2004, discussions started, and in 2007, the Pearl River Delta Region Air Traffic Management Planning and Implementation Plan version 2.0 was drawn up. On the basis of this 2007 plan, the 3 parties worked to streamline the air traffic management flow in the 3 regions. Close to 50 meetings have been convened in order to implement the short, medium, and long-term goals of the 2007 plan. In order to facilitate further collaboration, last May, the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAD, and Civil Aviation Authority of Macau signed an agreement on enhanced communication and meeting, and ATM officers of the 3 areas are encouraged to collaborate and communicate more. So it was a big step forward. Under this framework of this agreement, in terms of enhancing air traffic control efficiency, we have made grounds, including a direct communication channel with the mainland authorities, automatic transmission of flight data to neighboring regions, and electronic communication or coordination of departure times, and this would enhance the operational efficiency of our air traffic control systems. We will continue to communicate with the aviation departments in the mainland. The goal is to maximize the effectiveness of the 3RS and achieve our ultimate target of 102 flights per hour. The CAD and AA are also looking at new ATC technologies to further increase our capacity and cater for the growth in flights before the commissioning of 3RS. In order to substantially increase our handling capacity, we still need to build the 3rd runway. So for the more technical aspects, I will hand over to you, the Chairman. I'd like to consult the views of members. Meetings in other conference rooms have been suspended. So for this agenda item, shall we continue at the next meeting? When will be the next meeting? Can we meet as soon as possible? I'm quite concerned about the Secretary. Do you have visits to make, etc.? Well, I will try to accommodate. By the time of the next meeting, we might see a next-term administration. That's why the Secretary is smiling. Well, he always has a smile with him. our plan was to meet on the 12th of July. If not for the inclement weather, if we are able to complete the agenda items well before you came, we planned to have our first meeting in October. So we have to tackle the financial arrangements, but we have to wait for the consultancy report first. So after the report is out in end July, the AA sport meeting will be held in late September, and after that they can come to LegCo. That's why we have no agenda items for our July meeting. So if that's the case, we will cancel that meeting. Then we can discuss the airspace management on the 12th of July. Because of whether we have to meet in July instead, our colleagues are happy to help. Any other business? We don't have anything. So that's why we will still meet in July. So we will meet on the 10th of July at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the weather today is not well.
咁啊就唔該晒。